started on an ordinary morning. I was walking along the edge of my property, Rex padding silently at my heels, when I noticed unusual activity near the northern lot line. There it was, a structure, half-built, rising from the ground like a concrete and steel apparition. At first, I thought perhaps one of my workers had started a new project. But the colors, the layout, and the oddly familiar HOA-approved signage gave it away instantly. Karen, of course. She had built a garage. On my land. The audacity of it was almost comical, if it weren't for the implications. She had brought in contractors, painters, and even landscapers to blend the garage into the neighborhood. Windows were installed, the door swung on shiny new hinges, and someone had the nerve to plant shrubs along the foundation. It looked official, too official, but that was precisely the problem. I took a deep breath. Rex barked low in warning, sensing my tension. She had no idea how much trouble she had invited upon herself. I immediately pulled out my phone and started compiling evidence. Deeds, survey maps, previous construction permits, and satellite imagery. Every proof of ownership was at my fingertips. I documented the garage from every angle. Karen was about to discover that audacity and ignorance were a dangerous combination. By midday, county inspectors arrived. They stepped out of their trucks, eyes scanning the structure. Karen, sensing that something was amiss, came bounding over with her clipboard. "This is perfectly legitimate. I have HOA approval," she cried, her voice shrill with panic. The inspector raised an eyebrow. "HOA approval?" he said slowly. "Ma'am, this is private property. Permits must be filed with the county. Who owns this land?" Karen sputtered, fumbling for her paperwork. We, the HO. I thought. I walked up, calm, collected, my ID clipped to my belt, Rex at my side. "You thought incorrectly," I said evenly. "This property belongs entirely to me. Any construction here without my written permission is illegal." The inspectors reviewed the paperwork Karen had submitted. The permits were either forged or filed in her name improperly. Contractors began to look uneasy, realizing they could be implicated in fraud as well. One by one, they excused themselves, leaving Karen standing alone in the half-finished garage, face pale, hands shaking. "Sir, what legal action can be taken?" the lead inspector asked me. I smiled faintly. Let the record show she built this illegally and attempted to claim it as her own. Full demolition and fraud charges will follow. The county attorneys moved swiftly. Within days, Karen received formal charges for fraud, illegal construction, and trespassing. The garage was demolished under supervision, contractors forced to comply with city orders, and HOA backing evaporated completely. Every attempt Karen had made to assert authority on my land crumbled before the law. The final confrontation was almost cinematic. Karen stood on the remaining concrete slab, watching as her dream garage was torn down. She clutched her phone like a lifeline, muttering threats about revenge and property rights. But it was too late. The law was on my side, and Rex, ever vigilant, growled softly from the edge of the lot, a reminder that some boundaries were not to be crossed. I walked across the property, surveying the cleared lot. Sunlight glinted off the steel demolition equipment, dust rising like a haze over the reclaimed land. In the distance, the neighborhood HOA members peeked from behind fences, whispering to each other. The word had spread quickly. Karen's audacity had led to her downfall. Sitting on the porch later, I poured a cup of coffee and watched the sun set over the ranch. Rex sat loyally beside me, tail flicking lazily. Karen's garage was gone, her credibility in ruins, and my property intact. Sometimes I thought justice wasn't just about laws and papers. It was about preparation, foresight, and knowing exactly where your boundaries lay. As the evening shadows stretched across the fields, I reflected on the lesson Karen had unwittingly provided. Ambition without knowledge, boldness without respect for property, and entitlement without awareness of consequences always led to disaster. She had learned it the hard way, publicly and permanently. And so the ranch remained mine, quiet and secure. The land was untouched, the air filled with the scent of grass and pine, and the K9 at my side was a steadfast reminder. Trespassers, no matter how cunning or bold, would never prevail here. Karen's garage had been an audacious attempt, but in the end, audacity without legality was a fool's game, and the law had, quite thoroughly, won.